at Columbia, my master's in environmental science and policy last May, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Sorry, guys, we're still on the line. We're just having some technical difficulties. So we just want to make sure, if you haven't already had a chance to enter your information into the chat box, you can put your name, your organization, and your location in there just so we know who's on the line. And remember to mute yourself when you're not speaking. And just for the sake of time, I just want to briefly go over the agenda. So we're going to have Fred Davis of JCAN discuss how, give us a little bit of a training on how you can benchmark your organization's carbon use. And we'll have time for questions at the end. And so Fred, if you'd like to share your screen, we're having some technical difficulties here. So I think it just makes more sense if we jump right into the webinar. That would be super helpful. So.
Okay.
And just to give everyone a little bit of background about Fred, he's the volunteer vice president of the Jewish Climate Action Network. And basically, JCAN mobilizes communities to take leadership in bold climate campaigns through education and reducing carbon footprints. And he has about 40 years of professional experience in energy efficiency and renewables. At the beginning of his career, he was retrofitting homes and working in solar. And since the 80s, he's been really a big leader in energy efficient lighting. And he writes on development in energy and lighting and has been a big leader in Jewish learning in the Boston area. So today he's going to lead our training, and at the end you'll have plenty of time for questions on the training.
Okay, Shaked, thank you very much. And thank you very much for putting, you want me to get going now, right? Okay, I think she said yes. So I thank you very much for putting this together, Shaked. And I want to thank everybody for signing on. And I know of at least 3 networks by which people may have arrived here: the Jewish Climate Action Network, Hazon certainly, and Higher Ground Initiative. There may be other ways, but I appreciate the work, all the organizing work that everybody's done to get us here today. So we're talking about how to benchmark your facility's carbon use. And let's make sure I can do this. Yes. So as Shaked said, I have a long career in energy efficiency and renewables. And there is a prerequisite for this training, which is that you have a piece of paper and a pen nearby. So if you don't already have it, please grab. And this is a webinar, but it is seriously a training. I hope that by the end of 40 minutes, you will have the grounding you need and at least most of the chutzpah you need to go ahead and start this process if you haven't already. So Jewish Climate Action Network is a network of over 60 participating synagogues. This talk is geared to synagogues, but it works just almost as well for any facility. I do recommend and request that anyone here who would like to, please get in touch with me. You'll see my email in a few minutes. Get in touch with me or get in touch with JCAN through the Jewish Climate Action Network, through the website, which you'll see on the slides. Either which way, please become a participating synagogue. Add your institution to our list of congregations and institutions that have agreed to benchmark. So this is a training. You will be empowered, hopefully, to get started tomorrow. And I will lead you through those steps. And I would just like to say that, remind folks that the context here is that in order to make a change in our direction we're going in climate, we need to reduce carbon emissions. We need to reduce carbon emissions everywhere. That's in all aspects of life. That means in all our facilities. That means in all our congregations and institutions. So that is the route to averting disaster in climate, reducing our carbon emissions. It is possible. It is happening. It can be done. It will be done. It must be done. You may be at the beginning steps, which is fantastic. The benchmark is meant to be that laying out the groundwork for where to begin. This is the end use, the end result of the exercise that we're going to go through. Your total carbon emissions, your facility's carbon emissions in this case, gas and electric. And we'll go through the steps how to get there. These are the steps. Don't be daunted. They go very quickly. We're going to have to add 3 other steps. We've been doing this webinar for a while, but these extra steps are meant to localize the spreadsheet that I'll show you how to use to localize it for your specific region. So sheet of paper and a pen, and whenever you see this red rectangle, that means please write down what's in the red rectangle. You'll also need one of these. Does anybody know what this is?
Circle.
Very good. It's round. It's called a round to it.
Ah.
Everyone needs to get a round to it, and this is often the most difficult obstacle. In our age of distraction, one needs to carve out time and put effort in to get things done. You'll see that in addition, there are only 5 steps. Get the electric use, get the gas or oil usage, find the square footage, download the spreadsheet, fill in the spreadsheet. That's really it. It's very straightforward. And after you get that round to it, you need about 2.5 hours total is my estimation, maybe 3 hours now adding the localizing steps. So here's your first red rectangle. If you could jot this down, please, and I'm checking people to see if they're doing this. Please jot down this little chart for yourself. If you use natural gas and don't use oil, you know, just ignore the other line. But make a little chart so that you can fill it in. You'll want room for the name of the utility company, their phone number, and the account number. So we're going to need to get 1 calendar year of data, and you'll see what that means in a minute. And you want to get dollars and units. Units could be kilowatt hours for electricity, therms for gas, gallons for oil. You'll see all this in a minute. But we're going to start out with the phone numbers. So Jewish Climate Action Network, hopefully we're always emphasizing the action aspect. So I recommend tomorrow you go through this step, look up your utility company or for your facility. In this case, mine is called Eversource. Their website looks like this. There's click on business there, and here's the phone number. Pick up the phone. That's the next step. Pick up the phone, dial the number, and talk to the nice people who answer the phone and say the following. Red rectangle, you might want to jot this down. Very simple script. I am doing an energy analysis for my congregation. I wonder if you could help me. I would like, please, 2017 gas and electric consumption and billing. Okay, very simple script. If you forget what I said, you can probably make it up on the fly when they pick up the phone. So let me go back one, sorry about that. So when I first did this 2 years ago, the nice people there said, sure, what's the name of the facility and where is it? And they said, what's your email? We'll send you the data right now. What's your email address? They just emailed it right over. Fantastic. The next time I called, they said, okay, what's the account number? Now, it just so happens I have the account number. And the last time I did it, they wanted the account number for electricity. By the way, this utility does both gas and electric. So they wanted both account numbers. They wanted my name. What's my position? I'm on the green team. So that's my position. I have been on the board, but I'm not currently, but I'm on the green team. And the mailing and service address of the facility. So I could rattle that stuff off to them, but my point to you today is that you may not have that data, that information right at your fingertips when you call them up tomorrow, but that's fine. Maybe they'll just email it to you. If they don't, they'll tell you what you need to know so that you can call them back. So if you need the account number, then you go get the account number and call them back. Okay? Action, action, we want action. So there are many possible formats. I'm just going to show you a couple. If you're working with paper, your one invoice, one bill might have a whole bunch of data in it. In this case, it does. And this is one bill that shows 13 months of consumption. So that first line there is 0308, that's March 8th. Second is February 8th. Next is January 8th. So going back in time, March 8th, it shows consumption is 9,360 kilowatt hours, etc. So it just so happens that this, they read the meter on the 8th of each month. Okay, and now when they did email the data to me, this is the format it came in. It does take a little brain power, so we're going to apply the brain in just a minute. But first we're going to go to another data point, square footage. This one little data point can be tricky to pin down. You don't find it on your utility bills. And you could ask around at your synagogue or your institution, and that's not a bad thing. And I would just be reminding folks to always be organizing, talking to people in your institution. What is it that you're doing? Why are you doing it? Get them interested, get them involved, grow your green team. But if you don't want to go that route, you might be able to try this trick. You go to your town's website, and my town is called Westwood, Massachusetts. This is its Town of Westwood website, and right there they've got online services, an assessor's database. What's an assessor? We don't have to worry about that right now. But you can click on that and then punch in the address, and that pulls up a whole page, and there's a picture of my synagogue right there, whole page about the facility, the year it was built, and right underneath that, excuse me, is the living area. No, we don't really live there, but that's the square footage. So all of a sudden we've got the square footage, and we're going to need that. Once again, this is what the finished spreadsheet will look like. In this case, 2017, 2013 were both partials. So if we're going to do some apples and apples comparison, we've got to take them off. We're anxious to see what 2017 looks like. But just go back and forth with these 3 years. Here's the total carbon emissions, and I'm going to go forward again. Here's the energy costs in dollars. So you can see this is an indication of how useful this exercise is. Gas takes up most of our, or it accounts for most of our carbon emissions, but electricity accounts for most of our dollars. All right, so see how much you can learn. All right, so we recommend Jewish Climate Action Network has been working with Massachusetts Interfaith Power and Light. They offer a fantastic calculator, which I'm going to show you how to get. Interfaith Power and Light has chapters all around the country. They're quite different one from another. I understand that none of them have this tool localized, so you do have to work with the Massachusetts tool, and I'll show you how to localize it. So start with the URL. Please jot this down, mipandl.org. I'll repeat that in just a minute, mipandl.org. Jot that down on your sheet. When you go to their website, you next want to click on Resources, and next want to click on this. On the left, it says Utility Use and Cost Spreadsheet for Congregations, and here are those steps. You want to put this down on your sheet of paper. Click on Resources, then click on the left, Utility Use and Cost Spreadsheet. Okay, this spreadsheet immediately downloads, so you may need to go look for it in a folder such as Downloads folder on your hard drive. I recommend don't open it right away. This should be the title, but make a copy with a different title with your congregation, your institution in it, so you have a working copy. And this is the guy that we have to thank for this tool. Jim is a great guy, and thanks very much, Jim. When you open it up, it is set up with tabs, which are along the bottom there. You'll see this is the Summary Charts tab, and each tab opens a different page or sheet. There's different words, tabs or sheets, within the overall file, and we'll use different tabs for different reasons as we go. If you forget everything I say, you can go over to the far left here and click on the Instructions tab, and it can walk you through. But I'm going through today some of the tips and techniques to make it smoother for you. So the third tab over is called Util Sum, and that's where we've got this one green box where it says insert square feet. And the general flow of this spreadsheet is how to use it is anywhere there's a bright green box, that means that's where you enter your data. Most of the rest of the boxes you leave alone and they calculate by themselves. So bright green box, we fill in the square footage, there it is. Next, I'll go over to the electricity tab, and this is where every facility has electricity, so this is where we do very important entering of electricity data. And I'll highlight this region here. It shows a column for green column for dollars, a green column for kilowatt hours. We want to enter both of those. And as you see, I have pre-filled in. I had done this previously, I guess a year ago, perhaps maybe July. What was available was January to June, so I've filled this in. So now I go back to the utility recently, and I say I'd like all of 2017, please. And from their point of view, it's just a click of the button to get me the data. So it doesn't matter if I ask for a whole year or 2 years. And as I showed you before, this is what that format looked like. Now I can match it up and see that 6560, sure enough, is June of 2017. And you want to use, in this case, the electric line is the kWh. The next line, demand, we don't have to worry about for this purpose at all. So each of those electric lines is what we need. And as you can see, the spreadsheet works downward in chronologically, but the utility information that they sent to me works upward chronologically, so just have to watch out for that. But then there's August, and keep going for September, October, November, December, and it's all filled in. And then there's the dollars. Okay, so that is the heart of doing a benchmark, filling in 12 months of utility data. Okay, so if you get that, now it should be easy when we go on to gas or oil, and whichever one you use. But while we're here, I just want to show you the next columns to the right now have all populated. You can see dollars per kilowatt hour, which can be very helpful to know. But then that next column, percent of prior year kWh. So this is a comparison. Each of those boxes shows how you compare it this month to the previous year. So January 2017 compared to 2016 is down about 7%. But those fluctuations go all over the place. Hopefully the bottom line for the year is going to be more useful. That's 92% of last year, which means 7 or 8% reduction over last year. Now that would be great unless we know that it's a particularly milder, in other words, cooler summer, because in Massachusetts, electricity, a bunch of it can go for air conditioning, which is why this column, 2 columns over, is so valuable. It says right there that degree days, that's how severe how warm the summer was, how much cooling we needed, is almost exactly the same as the previous year. So we can see we really did reduce electric use from one year to the next by about 7%. So that's how terrifically valuable this kind of exercise is. Moving along, we do the same thing now. We click on the tab for gas. My synagogue uses gas for heating. And you can see here there are 2 readings for in each month. And I had to find out, and indeed we do have 2 separate meters. So I add the one to the other, and you can see that those 2 numbers added together become 1472. So that matches my January to June. And then I just follow back up to July through December. There's the total. And again, we can see the bottom line here. Therms, that's the consumption of gas, is down a good 14% from one year to the next. And we can go over to look at degree days, and see that it was only a little bit cooler. In other words, colder winter. Oh, milder. I'm sorry, milder in 2017. So, but we can say that almost all of this reduction, this 13, 14%, we can say 12 or 13% of it was as a result of the insulation that we put in. So it's not a mystery here how we got this reduction. There's a major amount of insulation. I'm going to get to at the end here how to localize this for your own degree days. But just to finish up, without making any changes to the spreadsheet, you can see how it's useful. On this page, your bottom line page has a few different pieces. Total pounds of carbon dioxide, and then total kBTU per square foot for the year. That's how much energy total, electricity, gas, oil, whichever, but added all those up, how much that came to per square foot. And why is that helpful? Because then we can look at this statement. U.S. Energy Information Administration calculates that the average house of worship in the Northeast uses 50 kBTU per square foot per year. So, is your house of worship better or worse than this average? Somebody wants to mute there, I think. So we're using 67.5, which is more energy than 50 kBTU per square foot. So therefore, we're worse than average. So this is a very helpful, very rough, but very helpful indicator. Again, benchmarking is all about indicators. So as I said, we're going to see in a minute how to localize this. Here's some synagogues, 6 of them over 2 different years. And if you think this is all in this same Boston area region, so if you think 50 is average, you can see 2 of them are in the range of average. The rest are well above. The good news for this kind of facility is way above average, much worse than average. The good news is there that the cost effectiveness of their energy reductions will be great, highly profitable to invest in whatever it is, insulation, lighting, windows, boiler improvement. The cost effectiveness of doing those measures is going to be great. So this is the output, again, that same output I showed you before. Now we see 2017, and we can see that this congregation is on a roll, 1 year to the next. Up to that green team, can they continue? That's my green team. I hope so. So if you're in the Boston area, you're all set. You can go have your dinner. If you're not in the Boston area, these are the 3 steps we're going to go through. I'm going to do them quickly. These are the steps to localize the spreadsheet. And I also have a cheat sheet that I'll send out how to review these steps for you. So when you see my email, jot my email down and I will send it to you if you didn't catch it.
Can you explain what cooling degree days means? I didn't understand that column. Thank you.
Sure. So degree days, you have cooling degree days, which is an indicator of how much cooling you'll need to maintain a comfortable temperature indoors. That's a very rough and quick answer. And
where do you get that number from?
I am about to show you.
Okay, thank you.
And heating degree days, similarly, how much heat is required to keep you comfortable in the winter. So,
and just a reminder, sorry to jump in, if you are not muted, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thanks everybody, and good questions. Hopefully we'll have time for other questions if we don't get to them as I go at the end. So there's a tab for degree days. So when you click on that, you'll see a lot of bright green boxes, which means please update them. And in this case, there are specific or detailed instructions about how to get your degree days. So in my case, we are near Boston. My synagogue is near Boston, but Boston has a moderating influence since it's by the water. It's cooler in the summer, a little warmer in the winter. So I do want to get more local, so I'll go walk you through how to do that. But first, I recommend going through the steps of familiarizing yourself with the process by just putting in BOS for the Boston weather station. So enter BOS, first step is go to this weatherdatadepot.com. It says how to do that on that tab. Anyway, it's a great little website. And when you get there, you enter BOS as the weather station and 2017, and then go down. And again, it happens to be a green box, but that's separately. That's just serendipitous. Scroll down and click here where it says copy to clipboard. As soon as you do that, it's in your clipboard, and then go pick some big white area on the spreadsheet to experiment with, and F111 is wide open on this tab. So click on F111 and click paste. When you do so, this is what happens. You get the heating and cooling degree days for Boston, and you can see they match right up. So now, hopefully, if you do that little exercise, you're comfortable with how to use the tool. You can go back in and put in your actual zip code. It's a very smart little website. Put in your zip code. In my case, it's 02090. Put in 2017. And it gives us the historical data from Norwood, which is 2 towns over and very close to the same climate, microclimate as where I am. And then I can copy and paste each of the years that are in here, 2013, 2014, etc. So that's how you localize and then replace with your station code so that you know you've done that. That's how to localize for degree days. How to localize for your regional emissions for electricity. There's another tab, KBTU SF Calc. That's this tab here. And why this is important is that you see here are the assumptions used for how much carbon dioxide is polluted for every unit of energy that is consumed. So those are stable for cubic feet of natural gas, gallons of oil, etc. They're not stable across the country for kilowatt hour of electricity. So you want to get to that line 27 and replace that, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So fuel mix is the important concept here. Your electric utility may burn a lot of coal or less coal, oil or natural gas or nuclear or hydro or other renewables. So whatever that mix is, that's called the fuel mix. And whatever your local mix is will determine how much carbon pollution there is. So get that paper ready again and fill in and make up this little chart for yourself. And look at the map, and you want to grab that 4-letter acronym that's on the map for where you are. You're localizing, so you're picking out your spot on the map. This is from the data source called eGrid. So put in your 4-letter acronym. Next, you use this chart to go to the far right, and that gives you the pounds per megawatt hour of CO2, pounds of CO2 per megawatt hour. So jot down that number, one number for your region. Okay, then while you're at it, make a third column, which is